Okay, hi, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to answer another question that's been sent in, again by Amanda Jolliffe. So thank you very much, Amanda. Your questions are awesome. And I've got to put it up on the screen behind the camera because I can't actually remember everything. I want to make sure that I cover it really well. Anybody like my t-shirt, by the way? Okay. Real men wear kilts. That's a true saying. Okay. So Amanda asks, let me see, make sure I can read this. Hi, Job. It's interesting that, like you, I feel so many mediums end up being a bit antisocial, and as you say, will have probably encountered many hardships to enable them to perhaps necessarily, to be perhaps necessarily sensitive and more empathetic. Do you think, therefore, that the Great Spirit calls upon those with true experiences of evil to do light work in the way that you have? Well, okay, Amanda, thank you for that. It's a brilliant, it's a fantastic question. Let me tell you, as I've said before in many other videos, I don't mean to stutter and sputter, but as I've said in many other videos, I never asked for the work that I do. I never chased it. It just came to me. So there has been an aspect of where Spirit has kind of chosen me for that. Now, when I look back in my life to certain things I've experienced, then there is a correlation to it, So for being in the monastery, dealing with priests and talking about, evil and exorcisms and all that kind of stuff gives you that interest, makes you want to delve deeper. But I suppose the best way to explain it is, if you burn yourself in a fire, then you know what that pain feels like. And so with that pain, you won't do it again. And if someone is with you who wants, is trying to experience that, or, they're going to put their hand in the fire, then because of your experiences, you would be able to relate to them. Perhaps it's not a good idea because you'll get burned. Now that's a very simple analogy, but if I take something back to mediumship, when we do sittings for people, okay, now we can teach anybody in a day to communicate with the spirit world, even in hours. Any person can get a message. Any person can get an intuitive feeling. We can teach them that, but it doesn't necessarily make them a good medium. It doesn't necessarily make them a medium. And the difficulty we have, and perhaps this is maybe where I think about, young mediums coming through that maybe don't have any life experiences. We can have good evidence and things from them, but time and time and time again, I see, or I actually get approached by people who have had mediumship readings and have come away devastated from them readings because there's a lack of knowledge, a lack of experience, and that shows in the reading, and they tend to say things that might actually hurt that person that's grieving. So empathy plays a massive role in mediumship, and Silver Birch had alluded to the fact that we all go through some suffering in life in order to experience and be empathetic. Now, mediums who have lost loved ones have more empathy for the grief side of things and can experience it. Mediums who have perhaps, come from illness and overcome illness, or through many different experiences in their life, they have they've culminated all the experiences that they've had in life that has been able to give them a personal empathy to the struggles of other people. Perhaps, you've been divorced and you've gone through all that, and so and you've lost loved ones, or you've lost a child, or you've lost. So it goes back to an actual in my grief group. It goes back to maybe a note that I put out because someone had asked me, Jock, why, you talk about grief and everything else, but what makes you an expert in grief? Well, first, I'm not an expert, but I've lost many, many, many people, and so I have an empathy. I've watched people die. I've experienced these things. So when it comes to dealing with experience of evil and light, you wouldn't necessarily, I don't think Spirit in their infinite wisdom would necessarily send someone to get help from, say, a young medium that is totally out of their depth, has never experienced anything remotely negative, and also it boils down to this whole idea that we spoke about, maybe about pareidolia and stuff like that, creating things in their mind. Well, we have a pareidolia about demonology. We have a pareidolia about mediumship because we create a lot of things as well. And so people that will say that they've dealt with evil or they've dealt with these negative experiences, not necessarily have. They haven't been absolutely terrified out their wits' end, or been into a place where things have been thrown against the wall, or bodies have been scratched, etc., and there's this purveying evil or this purveying negative energy that overshadows them, and this fear is built up and built up. A lot of people, even paranormal teams, will go in and say, yeah, there's a demon here, and probably isn't, and like I've said before, there's very, very little very, very little evidence for real demonic cases. It's few and far between. There's, like I said in other videos, 1,000 cases that is supposed to be there. You'd be lucky if one was real. So you wouldn't have, say, a young medium that would be guided in order to walk into a really dark, sinister case, or to help someone with a paranormal problem. And I know from your background, Amanda, that we're very scientific in our approach, and not everything that we take on will actually have some kind of sinister root to it. And many, many, many things that we deal with can often be explained away scientifically. And through psychology, etc., etc., etc. So we have a great deal of responsibility. So I think Spirit knows who can be guided to which medium or which person. The fact that I do this work doesn't mean that I'm a total expert in it, or does it mean that I'm special in any way? No, it just. Spirit probably look down and they think, well, through his experiences, through what his path has been, through the guidance that he can offer, the empathy and the understanding, knowledge, wisdom, maybe he can help this person. And this is not attributed to just me. I mean, this could be anyone that has a great empathy. Now, for instance, I don't think you can really, really empathize with someone who is grieving if you haven't really experienced grief. So it then boils down to, when you're given a mediumship reading or you're given a sitting, are you just taking information for the sake of getting information from the other side in order to give that to that person? And it's all well and good, that's fine. It's all well and good to do that. But we have to, you have to have some kind of experiences. If I do a sit-in for a particular soldier from a particular place, I have an empathy with that soldier because I've been a soldier myself, and I understand the struggles, I understand the trials and tribulations. I've been divorced, I understand this. So we have to experience things in life. Not only do we learn from it, but we also gain a compassionate, empathetic understanding in order to be able to help that individual. Now, the one thing that I've always said is, if a medium can tell you that they can heal you from grief, then run and don't look back, because a medium can't. What a medium can do is take the grieving individual's hand and walk with them on that journey and carry them when the burden seems so heavy to bear. We are there as a support system, and for one thing, to be the catalyst for them to do their healing, to understand that life continues on the other side, that there's evidence of life after death, and that this place in which we live in is merely another form of life, and as we move forward, we move on to another form of expression of continual life. Now, going back to the whole element of evil, and I think through my experiences and other people's experiences, that perhaps deal with this kind of thing, there has to be an element of suffering. There has to be an element of understanding from an empath way, from an empathy point, of what that person is going through. So necessarily, if we get called in, let's say for instance, you, I, Kevin, and other people, and we get called into a paranormal, perhaps a questionable case. We're not going to go in there all guns blazing and saying, yeah, we can get rid of this spirit, we can do this, banish them, we can, exercise, demonology, exorcisms. One, you're going to do more damage to those people, and two, you're also doing more damage to yourself, because you're starting to build up this communication, you're starting to build up this false bravado, and negative spirits on the other side that are more intelligent than you will know how to play that. It's not a game of chess that you can win. So I think people who are called to do this work, or who are pushed into this work, have experiences that allow them to understand, and also have compassion for those who are perhaps suffering. I would not think that a young kid or a young medium coming through that has no life experience would be able to walk in and deal with any particular sinister or malevolent force effectively, because they're not experienced enough and they don't have enough life experience. So in answer to your question, yeah, there's nothing special about it, but I think that people who have different experiences of different levels of negativity or different levels of life are able to deal with it in a more realistic way. One, they won't dive in where angels fear to tread. That's a true saying. So we won't kind of go in there blinded. And rather than having all the bravado of going in and helping someone with an issue, that's not the job. It's the people that are suffering. We got to remember, these people are suffering. They're suffering. And also, as I've said many times, the greatest gift that we can give humanity is the gift of service. Now, when I help people with cases like this, it's very, very time consuming, and we don't just go in with guns blazing, and we have a protocol that we go through. You're dealing with the emotions and psychology and everything to deal with that, and then we have to also know where our boundaries are, because we've got to protect ourselves as well. So I think mediums have to have a certain amount of experience. Mediums, good mediums, also have experience in life to be able to help others through grief. And it's not just about giving an arena and helping people through grief, but we have to have these different experiences so they culminate in being able to have an understanding role, to really, really appreciate and understand the plight of the individual. Because I've seen so many cases, hundreds, or I've even lost the amount of cases of mediums and young mediums that haven't developed enough, or even older mediums that haven't developed enough, and go in with the wrong idea, and go in to try and give someone a reading, which sometimes they could be reading psychically for a start. They can be duped by negative spirits on the other side. But giving them as much information as coming through, and the way they deliver it can also cause more trouble than it's worth, and you can really do some damage. So imagine then taking that young medium who really hasn't got experience and has given readings, whether they're accurate or not, may cause more damage psychologically to a sitter who is really suffering grief, and then take them into perhaps a questionable paranormal situation that may have sinister connotations to it. Would you want to have that individual dealing with your soul, or dealing with this negative? It's not, like I said in the book, it's not all about woo woo sticks and stuff. it's the development of your own soul and your understanding, your wisdom, your knowledge. So it doesn't make anybody any more special, but we definitely need to have experiences, and these experiences do help us to come to a point where we have that understanding, that wisdom, the knowledge, and the compassion. I hope I've answered that question. I'm not sure if I've covered everything, but Amanda, thank you for it. Keep them coming, ladies and gentlemen. Keep all the questions coming. Even if they build up to hundreds and hundreds of questions, there's going to be more people that will come and join us as more people read the book. And again, thank you for your support, and I'm looking forward to answering more questions. Sorry I haven't had a shave. But there's a lot more that we can talk about, not just about, you know, negative stuff. There's some great questions coming about mediumship and the afterlife and stuff like that. But predominantly, as I talk all the time, our divine power is developed within us over all these experiences. Our divine authority is not just knowing some theory. It's not just about running about with a woo-woo stick. Our divine power comes from our development of our soul, our spiritual compassion, wisdom and understanding, and developing that point of discernment in order to deal with something. And that gives us that signature, that vibration to know which side of the fence something's on, or where the scales are tipping. And so anybody who doesn't have experience, I won't put them into that situation. I have a case that's just come in recently, and I'm waiting for some more information, and we'll see how that comes up. Anyway, thank you very much, and I hope I've answered that, Amanda, to your satisfaction. If not, ask again and add in more, and I'll answer as much as I possibly can and share as much wisdom and knowledge as I can with everyone. God bless everybody.